Hi everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Hallmark Plus More, where we watch and talk about shows, movies, mysteries, Hallmark ornaments, and anything else that floats our boat. So if you were just with me a few minutes ago and you actually were able to watch the movie, the Hannah Swensen mystery, the newest one in the series is called A Sprinkle of Deceit. So let's just talk, let's review, we'll do a Jen rating. Hopefully you guys liked the movie as much as I did. I always tried to pick up little tidbits. A lot of the stuff that I picked up on that I mentioned doesn't necessarily pan out. I still think it's interesting that Brian owns a B&B with his wife and he calls them heating thingies. But apparently that didn't have anything to do with anything, but it could have been. So Casey kind of flew under the radar with me. I mean, obviously her and Brian are together, which we found out in the very last scene that it was her husband. We just kind of assumed they were together, just not knowing how much they were together. I was right about the affair with Brian. I was right about my instinct that it wasn't Glenn, the boss, that he wasn't harassing her. So I'm glad we kind of cleared that up with him because being harassed is a terrible thing, but also being accused of being the harasser when you're not is a terrible thing as well, because that's something that, your image is already tainted. So I'm definitely glad it came out that Glenn wasn't harassing her, because you don't want that to, taint his reputation, which we could see from the scenes with Hannah and then Dolores. He clearly was not into, cheating on his wife. Very, simple with his passcode, not very tech savvy. So, like I say, I'm definitely glad we were able to clear it up. It wasn't Glenn. I definitely got the vibe from Brian. So I thought it was interesting that it wasn't Brian, and Brian didn't even know that Cassie did that. I was right with the B on the phone. That was Brian, because when Cassie kind of got her to look at the phone at the end, she saw all the messages. So we don't really know if Brian was the one, she cheated on with Lonnie in high school, but we do know that they were having an affair now. The reason why I mentioned, since she was already in the bedroom, as you saw in the, the reenactment of how Casey did it. I mean, it's easy, for a woman that's passed out because she's already kind of unconscious, and then she's kind of awake, but she's completely drunk. So it didn't take much strength at all for Cassie to hold the pillow over her head. So well done, Hallmark. I guess Brian, it was Cassie. I kind of was getting the feeling throughout it wasn't Adam. And they did play that nut allergy. I'm glad I wrote that down, because it did play out when Hannah found the piece of paper and was like, look, this has nuts in it. It's definitely not Adam. So I feel like I was kind of eliminating people kind of a little bit before them, or kind of with them, I guess. But well done with it being Cassie. I mean, and bad on me, because I kind of skipped right over Cassie and went, well, it's got to be Brian. So I was right about the affair. However, I learned this in an Aurora Tea Garden movie. Never underestimate a woman. I shouldn't have underestimated Cassie, even though I didn't know her clear motives. You probably heard me say throughout the movie, you don't have to know the motives. You just got to figure out the who. And then at the very end, when they do the reenactment on how they killed the person, that's when you're going to find out why they did it. So, I feel like I should have put Cassie up. So well done. Any murder movie or murder mystery movie that I can watch where I didn't get it right, and it turns out to be somebody else, I have to give you props, because I consider myself pretty good at trying to figure it out. So, in the last mystery movie I saw at Hallmark Mystery, I was able to kind of put a couple pieces together and figure it out. So I was definitely right about the orange convertible. I knew there was something off with that. So that's my first instinct, was a street light, which was right. And I knew the little boy was head on, he was dead on. He was correct. I loved the little boy. He was great. But yeah, there was definitely something off. So I guess the convertible actually belonged to Cassie, because she said, I I knew you were following me and I drove you to Brian's house. So that really was Brian's house when he was taking the trash out. And I was like, yes, I knew it. It was Brian. But it wasn't a little bit too much more left in the movie to figure out like why. Because I wasn't thinking the director. So that's why I was like, maybe it's the director's house. Maybe they're just leading you down a path. But Cassie, definitely understand that. I mean, she was actually married to Brian. You should never cheat on a man or a woman, but when you're married, it's kind of a different level when you cheat because you're committed to this person. And you're committed in other relationships too, don't get me wrong, but I can understand why Cassie was so upset. So definitely a woman scorned, and Darcy seemed like she was really a piece of work. I mean, she's willing to fake harassments on her boss just to get more money to pay for, her lifestyle. So definitely think it was a good movie. I picked out a couple clues, but it led me to Brian, which I was correct about the affair, but I was incorrect on the person who did it. So well done for having Cassie do it, and shame on me for for passing right over Cassie and going straight to Brian. Mainly, I should have picked up on how she was murdered, because at first when I was like, okay, a pillow over her head, Lonnie had her probably in the sofa and somehow she got to the bed. Well, we learned Lonnie was did put her in the bed. So yeah, it would have been easy to suffocate with the pillow a person who was drunk and unconscious. So I mean, it doesn't have to be a real strong man. So that's my bad. I should have guessed Casey. But I do think it was a great movie. I think it was suspenseful. It kind of got me guessing. I'm definitely glad Michelle and Lonnie made up. I like Michelle's character, Tess Atkins, who plays Michelle. I do. I prefer, I don't want to say prefer, but I love Lisa Durant, who plays Andrea. I think Andrea and Hannah they just worked so well together in the Murder, She Baked mysteries. So I'm definitely happy and glad anytime she comes into play in these movies. And I actually like all three sisters together. So nothing against the actress who plays Michelle, because I love her too. She does great. I just love when Andrea comes back, because we saw her, 5 movies with the Murder, She Baked. One thing that I did pick up in the movie, which I'm sure, if you're a fan of this series, you picked up too, there was somebody who was absent in the movie. We did not see Norman Rhodes. If you notice that, Gabrielle Hogan, the actor who plays Norman Rhodes, was not in this movie. Or if it wasn't long enough for me to notice it. So I was thinking, okay, at first I thought, are they trying to do Chad with Dolores? Because Dolores was taken by him. And, everybody always wants her to get with Norman. I feel like that's... I liked her with Mike. I loved Cameron Matherson, but I also liked the Mike character. But obviously, since he's not in the new movies, I think everybody just assumed, okay, either she's going to get with Victor Webster, who plays Chad, or she's finally going to get with Norman. I like Norman's character. I do. He's a great actor. But I just don't see them together. So I know that's an unpopular opinion. I know everybody loves Norman and Hannah together. I think he is a wonderful character, and I think Hannah would be, would be blessed to be in a relationship with Norman, because he is very stable, being a dentist, being a good guy. But I just didn't see the storyline going with them together. So I think, obviously, with him being absent in this movie and them having that kind of love interest more with Chad, the more she interacts with him, I think that's how they're going to go down. But I wouldn't be upset if they went with Norman, because, like I say, I loved Norman. I love the little triangle with Norman, Mike, and Hannah. I just liked Mike with Hannah. But obviously everybody just assumed when Cameron Matherson didn't return, he's doing so many other stuff, that they were going to put her with Norman. And it looks like they're not. Looks like they're going to try to get her with Chad. Which, on a side note, if you know these actors, Allison Sweeney, who plays Hannah, and Victor Webster, who plays Chad, they have been together in the Wedding Veil trilogy. And I love them as a couple. They're a married couple in those movies on Hallmark. So I think Victor and Allison work really well together. So I have, no qualms with them getting together. I just think a lot of people were expecting her to get with Norman once Mike didn't come back. But either way, you know what? Create a new triangle with Chad, Norman, and Hannah. I mean, they did it for 5 movies with her, Mike and Hannah. And Norman, so who knows? There's always hope. Hopefully Norman will come back in the next movie if they make another movie in the franchise, which I think they will, or in the series, because I love that character. He is just so devoted to Hannah and such a good guy. So I hope they do bring him back. I hope everybody liked the movie. Hopefully you were able to follow along with me. Hopefully I didn't throw you off the path. Maybe you guys were thinking it was Cassie the whole time. If you were, bravo. Shame on me for passing over Cassie and going straight to Brian. I was just thinking the affair. He was the one who did it. I should have thought a woman scorned. Men don't always think that women know. Women know. We pick up on stuff. We pick on stuff that men don't think we pick up on. So obviously at the end, Hannah was like, does Brian know? In case I was like, no, he doesn't know. So he's completely oblivious basically. So he's just having an affair and has no idea that Cassie knows about it or suspects. So I definitely think it was a great movie. I loved the characters. Anytime I do a review, I always go over a couple things. What did I love? What didn't I like? What didn't I love? Were the characters believable? The whole storyline, the plot, the actors, the actresses, and then the feels. How does the, overall feeling of the movie, or how do you think the flow of the movie went? So first off, I've seen all of the Hannah Swensen movies. I talked early about the Murder, She Baked series, so I definitely follow them. So I love all the characters. I mentioned, we missed out on seeing Norman in this movie, so, I did want to, but everybody else returned. I love that Lisa returned, because like I said, I really like Andrea. I thought she did such a great job in the previous movies in Murder, She Baked. I love that the assistant that works with Hannah, kind of like her assistant manager, Lisa, she's great too. I love that she's back, because that kind of makes you more familiar. She's in every single movie because she works with Hannah at the cookie jar. And of course, Barbara Niven, she goes above and beyond. Obviously, Dolores is a character, right? And Barbara is such an amazing actress. She just, half the time I'm laughing in the movie at something Dolores does, right? Because she just brings that comic angle. She's just so over the top. It's funny. So I think she plays Dolores so well. She definitely brings that, comic relief and humor to the movie. And, like I say, I Michelle is definitely growing on me. At first, I was like, no, I want Andrea back. But I really love the dynamic with Michelle. I like that she's the younger sister. I like, how they have that dynamic. I like it when all 3 sisters are together. So, definitely like that. The only thing I dislike, don't really have a dislike except to say, maybe put Norman in the next movie. I know the fans love Norman. But yeah, I definitely don't have any kind of qualms about it. I thought it was really well done. Like I say, if I can watch a mystery and I can't figure it out, or I pick the wrong person and in the end I'm wrong, kudos. You're going to get high ratings from me if I can't figure it out. Not that I figure out all of them, but I was able to pick up some clues. You kind of had me guessing. I did mention I was down to Brian and Casey, and for some reason I skipped right over Casey and went straight to Brian. So like I say, that's bad on me. But definitely think it was a great movie. If I had to do my rating, what I would score, because I did believe the characters. Dolores is a character, but I believed all of them. I loved seeing Lonnie and Michelle make up, and with Hannah telling her what kind of flowers she loves, so I love that. And it kind of sets it up for things to come, in the next movie. So the only thing that I would say is bring Norman back, because fans love that. Even when he's just cameos, they love that. And make sure Andrea stays. I love her. I wish they could bring back some more of the characters, her husband Bill, and more of the deputies that were at Eden Lake, because I really liked all of that dynamic. I loved the other detectives, and you've seen them in other Hallmark movies. But anyway, so that would be, what I would recommend for the next movie. If Hallmark, if you're watching this, bring Norman back. Make sure Andrea has more of an active role. Absolutely loved her. I just love her with Hannah. She's such a great actress, and she plays it so well. And Michelle, I love that, where she's a photographer and she's younger, and I like that she's getting in with Lonnie, because that gives her that police department angle. So definitely think it was a great movie. If I had to rate it, though, I think I would probably rate it, right now, I'd probably go with 4 gold crowns as my rating for 4 gold crowns, only because I feel like if they had a different dynamic, I could rate it the 5 gold crowns too, because like I say, I always rate high marks, 5 gold crowns. If you can pull one over on me and I can't guess the whodunit. So I say, next, I think that was a great movie. I would say, next time try to bring Norma back, bring Andrea with more. But all in all, I think was a good movie. I'm definitely looking forward to the next one. If you saw the previews while we were on commercial, they did preview another movie, Curious Caterer. And that looks really good. Forbidden Fruit, I think it was called. And that's with Nikki LaRoche, I believe. And the other gentleman is escaping me. I have his picture in my mind. I can't remember his name, but that is a great series. I love that too. If you want to look into that, definitely check back on my channel so we can talk and review that one as well. But I hope you enjoyed watching the movie with me, talking, discussing, doing the review. And like I say, with my Gen rating, I definitely give it 4 or 5 crowns. Definitely would say you would win 5 crowns if you had Norman in it. But definitely great show, great movie. I hope you enjoyed it with me, and make sure you like and subscribe and come back so we can do this again. All right, bye bye.